Hello and welcome to Low Budget Gaming and welcome to another first Descendant video. So I wanted to chat a bit about the dev stream earlier today, and this time I'll not make a summary because they are going to release an official summary video, and also we are going to get the update in 2 days time, so we will have the detailed patch notes. So I just wanted to share my thoughts on some of the interesting things they showcased in this dev stream, and in my opinion it was better than I was expecting. A lot more stuff for the 15 days or so, like 3 weeks basically, until the big update on the 5th of February. So first up, they showed off the breach tracking and they showed the Vespers map being used here. And they had Lepic using the 3 grenade transcendent module. I forgot which one it is, but I have been using the same one on Lepic. Haven't recently used Lepic a lot, but yeah, it looks pretty fun. They said the difficulty of the enemies is Axion level, which means basically most Descendants will be fine here. Lepic looks fun. I might actually make a video once the Thunder Cage is also updated, which is like the big highlight of this dev stream, because the Thunder Cage is back in business big time. So yeah, so Lepic looks good here. And so you could use Freyna, you could use Viesa, Valby. Most people should be fine, even Glay or something in our current state. So yeah, so this looks like fun. Like another 5 minutes or so, and you should be able to clear this. This will be good for farming gold, and then there are 3 boxes that you get at the end, which you open with keys that you get from various other missions, like the Colossus that roam around in the Axion plains and things like that. For doing various different missions, you will benefit more. Basically, that's the thing I'm noticing here. But it is good because a lot of us have been saying to utilize the older maps, and this is a good way of doing that, because you can see here some of these maps are very detailed with a lot of interesting structures and ruins and things like that. And over here, the Vespers, we haven't come to this area since we were farming for normal Freyna back when the game first launched. So it's nice to revisit these old places, and hopefully they can utilize some of the other maps as well. Like Kingston is very detailed, and so I would love to see more things being done. Maybe they could expand some of the outer edges of these maps, because there's a lot of interesting stuff just beyond our play area. Like we have that sort of cabin in Vespers in the Moonlight Lake and the lake and stuff like that. So yeah, hopefully they can do that. But yeah, overall, this looks like a fun daily activity where you can farm a bunch of gold and some other useful resources like the superconductive cooling units. All right, next up, they had a balance rework chat about Enzo. Again, I'll not go into detail, but basically what they're doing is they're giving him some extra passive abilities. And basically over here, if you see, depending on the different types of weapons you use, you get something called Firing Specialist. Now this will increase your damage, firearm explosive attack, and this works similar to how Serena works. Okay, so if you remember with Serena, her damage scales with HP. With Enzo, they are using shield to scale his HP. So this number here, if you're curious, is 24,783. So that is the amount of shield you should have on Enzo to get the maximum 171% max damage multiplier without the Transcendent mode. There's another Transcendent mode they showed where these numbers were slightly different, but in both cases, you're just under 25,000. I think the other one was 24,903. Based on the quick maths I did from this over here. So try to build Enzo with shield. You can see the devs have done that over here as well. Increase shield. They are using shield to increase it. Weighing the scales will also add some shield. So anyway, overwhelming shield converts the whole thing, because Enzo can of course regain his shield with his third ability. So it will be fun to use Enzo again, because we used Enzo when the Deathstalker first came out. That is when we first built the Enzo around the shield, and he was very successful back then, buffing the teammates and stuff like that. So they also showed some changes with the other 3 builds as well. So if we see, this one is the Supply Firearm Enhancer, Reinforce Frontlines. So yeah, various different ways of playing, but yeah, overall Enzo looks like he's going to be decent. I just hope it's not another case of just spamming the restored relic. I would like other guns to also shine, which should happen, but yeah, we shall see. Next up, we have a monthly balance for Jayber. They did not show any gameplay here, but Jayber is also getting a bit of a buff, numerical buff, let's say. And so when on Thursday, when they release this, I'll have a look and then maybe update Jayber. There's a lot of stuff to do, so I'll eventually get to making a Jayber update as well. They've added 3 new trigger modules, one for Enzo, one for Jayber, and one which would work with most people. So this tactical strike, this is for Enzo. So you will hit some enemies with your explosive projectile, your second, and then you will do more damage basically and get some more range. So yeah, so this will be handy. They have also increased the damage of the second skill, the small drone that Enzo has. This is the one for Jayber. This is called Kill Chain. So when a target summoned by a summon type skill attacks an enemy, grants strike target. So basically target means Jayber's turrets. And so yeah, so again, you'll do more damage against the Colossus and Elites. And then we have the third one, which is called Two-Face. This is when you're using a chain type skill, it gives you sort of like a coin thing. So it'll randomly get a head or a tail, and depending on which side it lands, you'll either get some skill power increase or some range increase. We shall see if this is practical or if it's just a simple mechanic. Next, we have 2 new modules. These are the ones that sort of complement the trigger modules. They've had several of these. They are buffing and improving the older ones, and they've also added 2 more. These are for the trigger modules we got last month for Freyna and Valby. So Infection Amplifier, this is for the infected weapon. If you use it with that, this will actually give you more damage, additional skill power and things like that. And then over here, this is to complement the ground eruption. So again, this will actually reduce your cooldown. So this could be handy if your build doesn't have enough cooldowns. Then we have the older ones. These are again the same ones that work with the different trigger modules. For example, this Breach Explorer works with your Power Beyond and things like that. So yeah, so these are also getting some balances. So I guess people are not using these much. So now hopefully they get some more use. Weapons are getting Reworks unique effects. Greg's Reverse Fate, Afterglow Sword, Diseaser's Devotion. They did also say that with the Greg's Reverse Fate, for example, they are going to do something about the visual effects as well with this Thursday update. So it won't be as bad, hopefully. Because that is, I think, kind of more important than some of the other things. But yeah, this gun should be handy. And instead of being triggered randomly, like previously, it will now trigger for every 10th bullet, I think. So that will be a little more consistent. And I think this should be good. Greg's is a good gun from the start. However, the star of the show is the Thunder Cage once again. Look at this. You'll have this chain lightning, which will be which will be like a 30% trigger rate, meaning 3 out of 10 bullets will trigger it. And there'll be this chain sort of lightning effect across the various enemies. I think this is a much bigger change than we realize, because Thunder Cage, as you know, is one of the starter ultimate weapons. Most people get this. So new players starting the game, they reach the second map, Sterile Land, and this is available there. They also tend to give you boxes and stuff. So if you get hold of this Thunder Cage early on, this will make the gameplay much, much smoother, and people will not struggle. Because if you remember the early days, even like the normal mission bosses, it used to take us a lot of time. New players are not sure. You take the Thunder Cage, you put a couple of mods like Rifling Reinforcement, Action, Reaction, and that will be enough to destroy most of the normal content. And then because it's getting buffed and its special is improved, you can keep working on it, and it'll be useful in the end game as well. So I think this is a very important move, and I think this should help out a lot of new players who start the game and then just feel it's too difficult. They can just take the Thunder Cage, enhance it from the free boxes that they give you, and then slap on a couple of mods and slowly work towards it. You won't be wasting time building this gun, because again, it is now useful in end game as well. So this looks amazing, and I can't wait to check this out. But yeah, we already have a fully built Thunder Cage, so it'll be nice to use it again, maybe with Bunny or with anybody. With the Lepic, when they showed the breach tracking earlier, they were using, I think, the Python. So you could use this one instead, and that will be a lot of fun as well. The swords are also getting some balance changes. Again, I won't go into detail, but they are balancing these, and basically they talked about how the defense works. So yeah, once we get the detailed patch notes, we'll see if this is an improvement enough for regular use. The Deus Ex Manus is already pretty strong, and we use it occasionally. The other two I haven't really used much, so we'll see if they are useful again. Next up, they were showing the changes to Albion with the new event and stuff, and they accidentally revealed Daya, and I say accidentally in quotes, because it did not look like accidental at all. But yeah, people were hyping up and waiting for Daya. And yeah, so the next dev stream will be on the 3rd of February. And the next update, Daya, Glare Rework, and all the other things will be on the 5th of February. So they will have a stream just before that going over those things. And they're also doing another very useful and interesting thing, which I'll talk about later. But before that, I wanted to also talk about the smart casting, which they showcased with Valby. So all the skills that you have to sort of place carefully on the battlefield, they're giving you an option in the options basically to select the instant cast mode, meaning you don't have to take time to place them. You can do it very quickly. They also mentioned a brief change to the junk filter setting. They have this new option here. So basically, if you get like duplicate components or something, they will junk the one with the lower options. So yeah, so another useful little thing, but yeah, it doesn't change things much. Maybe I'll make an updated video just covering this. Basically, just include this one. Next up, they also added the Pyromaniac in the Axion planes now. So if you remember previously, they had the Dead Bribe, they had the Walker ones, the Grave Walker and the Swamp Walker. They added the Executioner. They also added the Devourer, sorry. And also they're slowly adding all the Colossus we used to have in the game in the Axion planes. Next up, they have the skins, the A-Team and the other one, I forgot the name, CeleXtar or something like that. So yeah, so these are the skins that are coming with the 15th. Next up, if you remember a while ago, they shared some concept art for upcoming skins. They had like 2 sets, one with like the cocktail sets and this one. So this one, they have shown the sort of renders now that will be coming. I think this comes in February. And so we have Nell, no, not Nell, Luna, Glay, Inez, this is Harris, this is Serena. I think I had guessed a couple of them right. I think I was right on these 2. I was completely wrong on the other 3. So this will be coming, individual skins. Next up, a more interesting and cool concept is the retro Gunslinger and Bad Blood skin. So a sort of Western theme. So there'll be a common skin for the male descendants, and then I don't remember who the descendants were. I think there's one Sharon, Nell, I think, Daya, Harris, and somebody else. I can't remember. But anyway, so these are pretty cool, and yeah, I would like to see how they turn out because they look really nice. They are also, for the first time, going to bring back older skins. So these are the skins. We got this set here. These 4 were very popular last January when they dropped them with the Lunar New Year. And then these were the Valentine set. These ones, these are all common skins, and this male skin was very popular. A lot of people wanted this to return. Now, the question I have here, which they did not mention, is whether some of the newer descendants that have arrived after these skins, whether there is a way to add them to these skins, whether you can equip these skins or not. They did not mention this, so I'm assuming that is not going to be the case, because if you remember when these skins arrived, this was when Inez had come out. So descendants after Inez, Serena, Nell, Harris, and Daya, by the time these come out, they wouldn't be here. I think they need to work out a solution to add some of the newer descendants to these common skins, because obviously it's a lot of work if they start updating constantly all the new descendants to the old skins. But if they can find a solution that works both for the players and for the developers, I think this would be a handy one, because some of these skins are quite popular, and yeah, people would love to have them. For the male descendants on this occasion, it doesn't make much of a difference because Kieran was already out, and we haven't had a new male descendant come out after this. We got ultimate versions of Blair and Eugene, but a brand new male descendant hasn't come out. So if you get this one, you can equip it with all your male descendants. Plus, we also have the swords now, so you can have the complete look. And I think this looks pretty cool. They also mentioned the skins from the first anniversary competition. So these will be added into the game. They mentioned like a March or April or something like that. Again, I don't remember exactly, but these will be added into the game, and they'll try to keep it as close to this as possible. And these will also be common skins, so that is interesting. However, the most important skin is the doggo skin. I think this looks fantastic. So yeah, so again, if this is common. This is fantastic. This is an instant buy. They obviously adapted it a little bit to show some of the fur and the things, but they got these sort of glowing red eyes correct. And yeah, this looks pretty good. I would expect a dog like this in, I don't know, Warhammer 40k or something. But yeah, this looks fantastic. Then there are more events similar to the one we had in December where you had to pick a team. This time they have balanced things a little better. So there'll be the A team and the CeleXtar skins, and you have to pick one side and you'll get matching sort of chest attachments and things like that. So you can look at what is more interesting to you and go for that team. And I think it'll be a little more balanced and closer to like instead of being a one-sided affair. This looks like a skin for the Deus Ex Manus, a sort of Princess Pony version of it. But yeah, I think this might be a free skin on the A girl side. So yeah, this should be probably the one we go for, unless they have a matching sort of dark themed black skin for the sword. The event where you get more gold and Kyber shards, etc. during weekends is coming back, so you'll get some more gold and Kyber from the Axion place, and then the new breach tracking fields, which will be Vespers, White Knight Gulch, and Fortress. Now this is the interesting thing I mentioned earlier when I talked about Dia. They're going to have an event before Dia is released. So Dia comes out on the 5th of February with the season 3 episode 3. Before that, a week before that, they will give you a chance to log in daily to get some rewards, which will make obtaining Dia a bit easier. So some of the research material for Dia, you can actually start farming a week before she gets released. I think this is a good move, because a lot of the times when a new Descendant is added, they'll have 200 research materials and you have to get them 3 times for the different materials, and then you have to farm the materials that don't seem to drop. So you can actually do a little bit of preparation in advance, get the materials ready, and then you can get the 4 pieces, and that should help ease the sort of farming for the new Descendant. I think this is a good move. And of course, you'll get things like the Ancestors module box and the energy activator and the catalyst, and also the Transcendent modules. This is also something I've noticed a lot whenever a new Descendant comes out. Some people just don't get the Transcendent module. I've not had that issue personally for any of the Descendants. I don't know what I do differently. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people who run the same mission many times and they don't seem to get the Transcendent module. So getting the Transcendent module beforehand, this will make life a lot easier, and it'll just reduce the pain of farming the new Descendant and having a build ready. After that, they kind of wasted time going over the Q&A with the chat here, because the chat was extra spammy today. However, they did mention a few interesting things. The thing that stood out to me the most was in February, they are going to give you the option of farming catalysts from the app. I think that is a big improvement, and I think that is a really good quality of life change, in my opinion, because when you're at work or somewhere outside, you can have a look. If your catalyst is ready, you can claim that and start another one. So you can get those 3-4 catalysts done regularly. I think that is fantastic, and hopefully they get more use out of the app. They also talked a little bit about the trade improvements, so they are trying to improve that as well. In-game chat, trade chat separately, those things. So yeah, so they are trying to gradually improve that. They also want to have an option where people can buy the module without having to be online. So that would be a good option. But yeah, they are understanding and seeing all these requests and changes, and they're trying to work through that. So yeah, so that is pretty good. And yeah, I think that will be a good change. I think the biggest 2 changes here from this whole thing is the Thunder Cage is getting a big change. That is massive in my opinion. And then the ability to farm catalysts from the app. I think these 2 things are fantastic. And a lot of little changes here. Guns are starting to synergize with Descendants and have some roles. And yeah, some of the lesser used Descendants like Enzo could become useful. Jayber would be handy. Viesa and Welby, I think, are being completed and rounded. Like Freyna, for example, the Freyna changes and the Fallen Hope changes, they have put her in a very good, you could say she's like a benchmark now, in my opinion, because you can just rely on skills. You can use a gun. You can use a gun just as a stat stick, and then you get a lot of power. The trigger modules work well. I think she's in a good spot, and if they can sort of do that with other Descendants, I think overall the game will be in a great spot. But yeah, that is it for my opinions on the dev stream. I think overall, really good direction. interesting things. As long as they keep adding new content, even if it's like the same maps, old maps, recycle them, use them, maybe change things around a little bit, randomize the maps. Sometimes you're going in reverse, sometimes you're going in the sort of correct way. Just do some of those things and just mix things up. I think that will be enough to keep people occupied. For someone like me, I log in, play the game when the wall crasher is appearing. So I play the wall crasher, do the dailies, and try to get a second wall crasher in. And usually that is it for me if there hasn't been an update. When there's an update, then I can play like crazy, farm things, get the new Descendant workout builds and things like that. So yeah, they just need to add a little bit of variety. Otherwise, I think things are overall in a good spot. And with the roadmap that they've showed, with Dia coming out, changes to Glay, new content, new maps, I think that's enough to keep people interested and occupied. They just need to just slowly keep adding more interesting gameplay modes and some variety. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think and see you in the next one.